Hey everyone. I was actually going through some old notes this morning from when I was in school, and I came across this one class that I did called Managing Your Personal Resources. And one of the workshops that we did, it all involved group work. I can't remember how many people were in a group. I'm pretty sure it was at least 4 to 6, depending on the groups. But you're testing my memory because this was in like 2009. So I found a really good essay that I wrote on mental illness and like the genetic factors. So I thought this would be an interesting topic for today. So I'm just going to share this with you. So keep in mind this is something that I wrote in September of 2009-ish. So the teacher that I had then was very structured. She liked us doing everything in like a template kind of form, and she liked us to form our essay, like our titles into more of a question rather than a subject title. So the topic title for this essay is What Mental Illnesses Can Be Passed On Genetically. Many mental illnesses run in families, suggesting that the illnesses may be passed on from parents to children through genes. Genes contain instructions for the function of each cell in the body and are responsible for how we look, act, think, etc. But just because your mother or father may have a mental illness doesn't mean that you will have one. Hereditary just means that you are more likely to get the condition than if you didn't have an affected family member. Experts believe that many mental conditions are linked to problems in multiple genes, not just one, as with many diseases, which is why a person inherits a susceptibility to a mental disorder, but doesn't always develop the condition. The disorder itself occurs from the interaction of these genes and other factors, such as psychological trauma and environmental stressors, which can influence or trigger the illness in a person who has inherited a susceptibility to it. Biology. Some mental illnesses have been linked to an abnormal balance of special chemicals in the brain called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters help nerve cells in the brain communicate with each other. If these chemicals are out of balance or are not working properly, messages may not make it through the brain correctly, leading to symptoms of mental illness. In addition, defects in or injury to certain areas of the brain also have been linked to some mental conditions. Psychological trauma. Some mental illnesses may be triggered by psychological trauma suffered as a child, such as severe emotional, physical, or sexual abuse, a significant early loss, such as the loss of a parent and or neglect. Environmental stressors. Certain stressors, such as a death or divorce, a dysfunctional family life, changing jobs or schools, and substance abuse, can trigger a disorder in a person who may be at risk for developing a mental illness. I also go on to add a little blurb about the past. So in the Middle Ages, insane asylums were created to remove the mentally ill from the rest of society. Patients at these facilities were treated like prisoners, and many different types of cruel treatments were used, such as patients were chained into dungeon-like rooms that were dark and often not very clean. There was a rotating device that would spin a patient around at very high speeds. Patients were put in harnesses and swung in order to calm their nerves, and many were branded on the forehead with hot irons as to gain a clear mind. Treatments, of course, are now very different, but not by a lot. We may not brand people anymore, but patients are ignored and often prescribed medications that do nothing to help their mental state. Shock therapy is also still used at some hospitals. So, I thought that was a pretty interesting article that I put together. And it was, again, for a workshop for mental resources. And I also did one for spiritual resources. So we had to agree or disagree with the following statement, basically. And the statement was, to have a life of success and love, one must have faith. So we had to break it down, basically, provide research, and it was difficult, apparently, for us, if I am reading this correctly, but I think what we came up with is pretty interesting, so I'm just going to share that with you as well. So, can you have faith without being religious? We believe that you can absolutely have faith without being religious. In our case, none of us are religious. At that time I wasn't. Or preach to a certain religion, but yet we still all have faith. If you don't have faith, then really what do you have? Faith does not mean that you go to church or read the Bible or believe in God or Allah for that matter. It means that you believe in something, a higher power of some sort. Maybe it's karma, reincarnation, or an afterlife. Everyone is entitled to having their own perception as to what the higher power is, but in the end, we all stand on common ground in the belief that there is that power. How can faith help you be more successful in life and relationships? You cannot become successful in your life if you do not have faith in yourself. You cannot take the steps and change your life if you do not believe in your own abilities and skills. Having faith means trusting yourself and your intuition. In life and in the measures of success, you are going to need to make choices. If you are unable to trust yourself, then how are you going to believe that you are making a good choice? We believe that faith is the inner strength that keeps you fighting, that encourages you to keep going even when things don't go your way or seem too tough to tackle. Without faith, you would not have the strength to pick yourself back up and keep going. Therefore, you would be left with the obligation to quit. Whether you want to admit it or not, we all have faith. Sometimes it is found in people stronger than others, but it is there. Think to yourself, how many people from this school do you have on your Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg was a total nerd in high school, did not have many friends, and found it hard to form relationships with the people around him. With all the discouragement, without faith, he would have given up. Now, he's a multimillionaire. What is blind faith? Blind faith is a belief without true understanding, perception, or discrimination. Blind faith is not being able to see it or touch it, but knowing in your heart, your gut, and in your head that it's there. And although you cannot write an essay on it, or show somebody, you just know. Think about love. How many of you have ever told someone that you love them? Did you read a book or take a quiz to find out whether you love them or not? No. You just feel it. Faith is the same thing. While we were doing this challenge, we thought about this. Why is it that faith and religion are always put in the same sentence? Do they mean the same thing? Absolutely not. Many people use religion as a crutch to make themselves feel as if there is a written reason as to why they feel the way they do, or they are experiencing certain things. Faith is just simply believing that it will get better and that you can make it through. So our concurrence for this was, after careful deliberation and intense discussion, we were able to concur with this statement. Upon arrival to this concurrence, we thoroughly discussed what the meaning of faith, love, and spirituality actually meant, dictionary and in our own opinion. We decided that we astronomically agree with this statement. That means hugely. The reason we came to this concurrence is because to have a life of success and love, one must have faith in themselves. Where is this shit in the curriculum, yo? As Stacy said before, the Board of Education feels strongly about avoiding teaching spirituality in schools. Unfortunately, we were unable to find this in the curriculum. We believe strongly that it should be taught. Maybe take a light approach to the situation and tackle it that way, but people need to know about these things. In many Catholic schools, religion is shoved down your throat, and in our opinion, we think that that is the total wrong way to go about it. You cannot force someone to commit to a certain religion, or for any for that matter. But love, hope, and faith are a strong part of everyday life. So, I hope that gives you a little insight. I was kind of shocked when I was like reading over these notes. It's been literally years since I've read some of it, and some of the essays that I was reading this morning, I was like, wow, did I really write this? But I wanted to share some of it with you because I think it's very thought-provoking knowledge, and it gets you thinking outside of the box, and that's what I liked about this school the most, is it got you thinking about current world issues, and it wasn't just your typical, here's some information, now spit it back out at me and make sure you know it kind of thing. It was a lot of hands-on research and teamwork, and I found it an amazing learning experience. So I just wanted to share that with you, and until next time, remember to stay strong, and you're never alone.